Exactly. I love your shirt, by the way.
Oh, I appreciate it. I got this for Christmas. But
All right, we are live. It's Rick Morgan and
Nolan Morgan.
And we're here talking to Big John, who Nolan absolutely adores. Now, Nolan's wearing a shirt Big John sent him some years ago. And when we got this shirt, it was like hanging down almost to Nolan's knees. And now it's almost too small for him. Show him the back,
Love
Nolan.
it. Oh, yeah. The back's the awesome part. For you, audience, man,
yeah, it was almost a little horrific for like a 10-year-old, but it's pretty cool now.
It's awesome.
It's like the
it's
best
actually
shirt.
it's actually a skater shirt.
Oh, is it?
Oh, that's kind of cool.
I have the image on a big banner hanging in the store.
Oh, cool. Yeah, he's got.
I actually got that at a skater store in Tyrone Mall.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, down here. But I was just going to let you know that I'm putting together a bunch of books that have brown pages, tan pages, yellow pages, so you could continue your testing, Rick.
Perfect.
And then in that box, there's like 5 or 6 more shirts for Nolan.
Oh, that's great.
5 or 6?
Wow, he's excited now.
Yeah, there's superhero. I think there's an Iron Maiden in there, but they're all. I mean, if I wore them, they have to be bad to the bone. If not, I wouldn't have bought them.
Yeah, Nolan's going to absolutely love that.
Oh, man.
So Patrick asked you here. I'm going to show. He asked, "Where's your store located?"
Seminole Boulevard in Largo, Florida.
Seminole Boulevard, Largo, Florida. Patrick is in Texas.
Yeah,
you might not.
Yeah,
make it.
All my exes live there.
As the song goes, right?
That's right. You can put a link to my. You could look us up on Google, the Comic Book Underground, and then you can call the store, facilitate, and ship it right to your front door.
And you don't sell new books. It's mostly back issues. Is that correct?
I don't sell anything new. No. I can get him any book he wants. It doesn't make no never mind.
I'm putting a link in the chat right now, John, to your store.
Yeah. So, I can get any book that anybody wants. So I'm not worried about whether it's new or old.
So what do we want to talk about today, John? I'm going to let you steer the show.
Well, you've been doing a couple of videos on the scamming of slabs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The scamming actually started with them opening up the slabs themselves, cutting out the book from its inner sleeve, and then resealing another book of the same book but in lower grade. So what they were doing is they were keeping the higher grade book that was graded, and then they were cutting out the inner seal, putting in a lower grade of the same book, and then resealing the inner sleeve, and then resealing the slab. Those were coming out of Canada, and
really?
they're hard to tell, but there's 3 little vertical. There's 3 horizontal. Sorry, there's 3 horizontal lines on the inner sleeve.
Yeah.
And if you're, and that's how they resealed the inner sleeve. I actually got one of those books from a good friend of mine. He asked me to crack it and clean it and press it, and it was an 8.0 CGC graded Iron Fist 14.
With the saber tooth on the cover, right?
Yeah, it's Sabretooth, Iron Fist, first appearance of Sabretooth. And it was not an 8.0. It was more like a 5.55.
They're taking a risk when they make it that big of a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge. So I called my friend. I said, brother, you need to send it back. I sent him pictures of the lines of the reseal, and he sent it back to the customer in Canada. And the customer has a no return policy, but the customer immediately returned it when he found about the fraud. Because you don't want that. You don't want something like that following you if you have an LCS or something.
Oh, we lost John.
That's
we lost
okay.
him for a second there. Sorry.
Yeah, that's happened twice now. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't matter. On opening up a slab and resealing it, and and doing that. That started a little while ago, and from what I understand, from a very, very good source, inside information, there's about 240 to 350 books that have made it into the mainstream. Now, that is a low number when you're talking probably over 200,000 or more graded books. The problem with them is that CGC won't do anything about them, right? They're not going to crack them, and they're not going to reholder them. They're not going to do anything. They're going to basically, from what I understand, is they're going to reship them back to the owner or whoever they got the book from. If someone out there is going to use what you've shown to do that, all I can say is, man, don't get caught. I mean, seriously. I mean, if somebody were to walk into my store and hand me a book and try to say it was legit, knowing that I know about the fraud, I mean, I don't know what I would do, honestly. You know what I mean? I mean, I might have to just come out of retirement.
Well, well, I hear what you're saying, but I was going to say that I've had 38 now messages from people, 3 from CBCS and 35 from CGC that they suspect strongly that their cases have been tampered with, but they have not been reholdered. So there may be amateurs, doing this for a while. And one of them was a book that person bought in 2012 and has had for that long.
Yeah.
So it may be that CGC knows about the 240 to 350, but it may have been that there are other bad actors. You know how it is, John. Anywhere that money can be made, people try to find ways to cheat the system, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, there's no doubt about that. And you just, I don't feel sorry for those guys when they get caught. You know what I mean? But if my thing is, though, if CGC has known about this for however long, why didn't they put it in a newsletter? Why didn't they have a channel? Why didn't they just make the announcement? Make it official announcement. Before the takeover or after the takeover of CGC, why wasn't it made public so that people could be on the lookout for that stuff?
That's a hard conversation to have at a big company. You're sitting around the boardroom table. Like, who wants to be the one to bring up that solution, right?
Well, I mean, CGC is going to make their money no matter what. They still are the top dog in the food chain, unfortunately. But I don't think it would have cost them that much. I think people would have more looked at it as, well, shit, they're being honest. Let's just go ahead and get behind them even more.
Now they had to be called out, right? And
exactly. Why
embarrassing, right?
Why wait for that, right? That's like, when I was fighting, somebody called me out. Well, guess what, brother? All you got to do is put your name on the contract. That's all you have to do. There's no more fuss. There's no more muss. Stop talking, sign your name, and then get in the octagon. Then you don't have to say any more than that.
Right.
So you got to fight one time. Once you get rid of that one fight, it's over. They ain't gonna be talking no more. And that's the way that this should have been handled. You take one little fight and it kills the war. Because if this has happened in 2012 to 2024 now, is that number of 350 books, is that a legit number, or is there somebody out there who thinks they got legitimate books and they're just holding on to them?
Yeah. There's I think that they've lost a lot of credibility. They've never really had a lot of credibility from my perspective, because I know that there are good, honest, great, wholesome people working there. Absolutely. But whenever I've had a problem, it has been difficult for me to get CGC to admit that they needed to fix it, or that it was a problem that they had to do with something, right? It was it literally took me a year to convince them that they took 2 books, 2 Amazing Spider-Man 41s, and swapped them in the wrong cases. It was literally a year, and they were not responsive. They were not helpful. It was just, it's just dark art. And then when you ask them, why is this book graded this way, this one's graded that way, they don't answer you. They live in such a dark world of not sharing information that I'm little surprised that when something like this comes up, that they continued their trend of not sharing information. It's been their way. It's been their position from my experience.
That's because they were the first. When Steve created CGC, they were the first to start this, and they feel that, you know, they're basically untouchable. You know what I mean? The problem with that is that between their trying to go automated, this scandal now, you know, all this stuff just keeps compiling. So how much crap are you going to let build up before you get the shovel?
Well, you know who else used to be untouchable? Sears, JCPenney, Toys R Us.
Now they're all gone.
Exactly. Those were also all untouchable companies.
Well, you know, Toys R Us is starting to try to make a comeback in malls, you know, in like little shops instead of like an anchor. But Toys R Us is trying to come back in selected cities. They're trying in bigger malls, but I believe even one of those has closed.
Yeah. They're like what KB Toys used to be in a mall, I think, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I never liked KB Toys. I liked KB Toys when they went out of business because I was able to get a lot of vintage stuff that they still had in their back rooms.
Yeah, same here. That's the same here. I got some toy business from the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, but I got, when I had my video game store in Frederick, Maryland, I went to the KB Toys in the mall there when they were closing, and I got 8 top-loaded 8-bit Nintendos that were still in the box.
Oh, wow.
What?
And these were the top-loaded ones. So,
wow.
And, you know, I got a case of Sega Saturn games like Shining Force 3, Panzer Dragoon Saga. I mean, one sealed Panzer Dragoon Saga graded, if it grades high enough, man, it's, you know, a $40,000 to $50,000 game.
Wow.
Dude.
You know what I mean? So, you know, and I was buying pennies, I mean, legitimate pennies on the dollar. That game was like when a Panzer Dragoon Saga, when I bought it for Sega Saturn first came out, it was like $129, I believe. I think I paid less than $4
Whoa.
a piece, and I bought a case of them, which I believe was 6 in the case. And I sold them all on Evil Bay. This is pre-PlayStation 2, by the way. I sold them all on Evil Bay. Back then, they sold for like $8,400.
Wow.
New sealed, not graded.
Wow.
They sold for like $8,200 a piece.
Jeez, that's crazy. I didn't even know there's a whole world.
Yeah, well, video games, that's what I did for a long time, was video games. And, you know, I loved it because I play video games. But so it was one of my favorite little things. I will tell you this, the economy is, I don't know how it is up there in Washington. And again, I apologized about your Seahawks the other day.
Oh, yeah, that was painful.
Yeah, the Steelers really, there was not too much defense in that game, but the Steelers got them. And I thought what was bad, made the Seattle Seahawks look so bad, is it was our third string quarterback that beat you.
Wow, that's awful. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's our Mason Rudolph is our third string quarterback.
Oh, wow.
Because Mitchell Trubisky, I don't know how he's our second string, but he is awful. I don't even know why the Bears traded up to get him in college, but yeah, he's terrible. But yeah, I apologize for that. But the economy down here in Florida, I don't know how it is up in Washington, but down here it's been awful for like 2.5, 3 years.
The
And
economy here is better, I think. I think it's not growing like it was, but it's not going down, really.
yeah, it's awful here. But and the comic book store, I mean, I'll be honest with you and all the viewers, we almost closed 3 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's that bad here. And but we made a couple of moves and took out a small business loan that we really didn't want to take out, but it was really the only way we could save the store. So, but I mean, I don't have the money right now, but if there's someone out there that has the money to buy comics, man, now is the time, and it has been the time for like the last year and a half to be buying comics, maybe even longer.
I saw something I never thought I'd see in my life, which was somebody selling a 361 of First Carnage. And by the way, Nolan's personal friends with one of the creators of Carnage, knows who he is, so he's like a super Carnage fan.
Oh yeah, totally.
But he knows Randy Emberlin. But someone paid more money, and I never thought I'd see this, for a PGX graded Carnage than they did for a CGC one. They were both 9.6s. Yeah,
that's crazy.
What kind of crazy upside down world is this that I'm living in? You know, I was like,
No,
how is this possible?
I don't know, because I used to buy PGX books at a discount, pop them out of the slab, and then clean them and press them, and they would still come back either the same grade or, if not, most of the time lower. You know, I mean, PGX. I mean, but this has been a long while ago. I don't use PGX. I don't buy the books anymore to do that. But I don't know, you know. But the argument can be made that, you know, grading is subjective to the person looking at the book.
Yeah, it
Their
always is.
attitude at the point of looking at your book. You know what I mean? So, are they having a bad day?
Yeah. Did he fight with his wife that morning? Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. Or, you know, does he got gas?
Yeah, exactly.
Or does he have a toothache? You know, whatever. Does he got, you know, toe jam on his feet and it's bothering him? You know, whatever. It doesn't matter. So now, because he's having a bad day, he's going to take it out on you with your book. You know, so grading can be subjective. When I grade a book, I don't think of anything at all, period. I'm thinking of the book and the current condition in which I see it. My attitude or the way I feel about that particular book, it don't even come in to bear. I have to take the book based on its own merit and condition, right? And Overstreet, they have given me the basis and the advanced, and seeing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of copies of the same book in various conditions, the experience that I can be objective, completely objective, and do my job. I have customers that rely on my opinion on the grades of their books, whether they're going to submit them to CGC or not. I had a case in point. I had a gentleman come in yesterday because we were open yesterday. He brought me a stack of books, about probably 15. And he asked me, will you give me your advice on which one of these I should submit for grading? Well, I cost myself money because I told him none of them were worth grading. He had Lady Death, the silver cover and chrome cover, and the gold chrome cover. Both those books are about $4 a piece. To press them would have been so much, and then to grade them would have been so much. Those books, those two books in a 9.8 are like $40.
Yeah.
So he would have been way over. So I told him none of those are pressable and cleanable. Well, they're all pressable and cleanable, but viable, you know, to do that. So
yeah, I was wondering, like a lot of people have been asking, like, what's the solution to the problem? I don't have an answer. I'm hoping that maybe some of our viewers will give us some solutions. But a lot of people have said, well, high resolution imaging will help, and it will. But you know what? That's only the cover of the book. I can very easily take the cover off of that book, swap it, and put it on another book. And that still doesn't help you, right? If so, like if that book's missing, like one of the books is missing a Marvel value stamp or something, or a page is gone from it, you wouldn't know. And
No, you sister it, you marry it.
yeah, and so they have these things like X-Men 1. There are people who take an X-Men 1 or an AF-15 and they cut it up and they sell individual pages for this and have those pages graded. So they could actually take the cover off an AF-15, put it on a Batman book for all we know, slip it back in the case, cut all the pages up, sell those each for $2,000 each, and then put, I'm just still, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that that helps to have the high-res images, but it is not a solution to the problem, right? I don't know.
I have people send me pictures, honestly, Rick, all the time of comic books, the front and the back, and then they'll open it and they'll show me the staples if they're firmly attached or what have you. And I always tell them the same thing. I am not going to give you my honest opinion unless I see the book in the flesh, so to speak. I want to physically see the book. Because whether it's a high-res scan or not, you can go on eBay, or as I call it, Evil Bay, and now there's camera tricks. You can actually edit your own picture on Evil Bay. You can make it brighter. You can make it darker. You can shadow it. You can do a lot of things to the picture to hide damage. So, I one thing I need your viewers, my viewers, to understand is if you're looking to sell your collection and you don't know how to grade comic books, stay away from Evil Bay and find you an honest dealer. Yeah, I know I just asked somebody for a miracle for that, but I actually show people sold listings on Evil when they come in and they say, well, I saw that Captain America 100 sell for $79,900. I said, but yours has water damage. I said, yours is worth about $80. And they go, well, what do you mean? I said, exactly. That's why you don't look them up. And then the one that sold for $79,900 was a 9.9.
Oh,
great.
Wow.
So I tell people, don't go on eBay and just look up what people are asking for a comic book, because I can ask $1.5 million for a $2 comic. It doesn't mean I'm going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's best to go and look at sold listings. That way you get an idea of what your book is going to sell for from the lowest to the highest, raw. And I'll actually show them, say, look, this is like a fine. I'll type in Captain America 100 FN, go to sold listings, and it sells between 150 on the low end to about 360 on the high end. You know what I mean? And then they get a better understanding instead of saying, well, I want the book back because I saw it sell for almost 80,000.
Yeah. People don't understand. They really don't.
No.
But John, I was going to ask you, you said earlier you want to talk a little bit about pressing square bound books. Is that still true?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Square bound books. Square bound books has always seemed to be what's the word I'm looking for? The hindrance in people's pressing game.
Yeah.
It's always been, they say, well, they'll press a regular book, but they won't press a square book because they think it's so much harder. In my opinion, and opinions are like, buttholes. Everybody's got one, but I actually like to hear mine because I just like to hear myself speak. But square bound books to me are easier than a regular book, than a regular comic. I don't care if it's gold, silver, bronze, copper, modern, doesn't matter. It makes no never mind to me. I would rather press a square bound book than a regular stapled book from the size.
Well, I use those square bound protectors that I make. I think you said you have some kind of shim or something you use. Is that true?
Yeah, I used to use shims. I haven't used shims in like about 2 years. I kind of mastered. I know you called me a master, which I didn't. I didn't mind it, but I'm still I still study myself on a daily basis on how I do it, and I try to make it better each time. Well, and I'd like for you to try this if you'd like to.
Okay, I'll write it down.
Release the pressure from your top plate, from your heat plate on your press.
Okay.
Release the pressure completely. Like, take it down. Like, go 5 or 6 turns until it's loose.
Okay.
And then set up like you would with your 60-pound or your 100-pound paper behind the cover in the back. Don't put no moisture in it. I want you to dry do this. And then set it like you're going to set it in your press. Pull your press over, drop it down, no weight, and then hold it. And then start screwing it tight. Point where it's tight and you're going to have to go like this to turn it, like add some oomph to it. Don't. Turn it to where you can't turn it no more. And then let it go.
Okay.
And then press it like that.
All right. Yeah, I've got a square bound book. I think right here I could actually do that on. I think I've got, what is this one here? Oh no, these aren't. Oh no, those aren't they. But I have some square bound books I'm just going to try right here. So yeah. Classically,
So
the one I get the most is that giant size X-Men one. That's the most.
Dude, I mean, without exaggerating, I have probably pressed and cleaned, I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000 of that book.
Oh, wow. Oh my God. I'm up to like a few dozen. I was up to like 100. I thought that was a lot.
I know last year, because I get my printouts of books that I press and clean. The printout said that I did just 2023. I did 104 GSX number ones last year.
Jesus.
104.
That's more than I've done altogether, I think, or close to it.
I remember the video you did where you said, I really hate seeing the same old books over and over and over again, ASM 300 or,
ASM
whatever, Hulk 181 or Giant Size X-Men number 1. You just get tired. It gets monotonous seeing the same books over and over again. A lot of since the beginning, and that is Marvel Spotlight 5.
Oh,
I haven't done a lot of those.
The Ghost Rider one?
Yeah, first Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze. And I have not done a lot of Werewolf by Night 32, First Moon Knight. Right? Because that book just doesn't come in a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't done too many of those. But I've still done over 100 of them. But I'm talking maybe over the last 5 years.
Right, yeah.
So,
that one has a lot of yellow on the cover. I remember.
Giant Size X-Men, I did 168 Hulk 181s. I did like 82 Hulk 180s. I did Fantastic Four 48 and 49 when they really got that push. I probably did 20 of them in a month. And then they sort of, came down. But I think I did I don't know, let me look. Hold on. I did 54 48s and 62 49s last year.
Jesus. Hey, how'd the guy like that one? Was it a 48 or a 49 that I scraped that stuff off of it? Remember that?
Oh, he loved it, dude. Yeah, he loved it.
I'm glad.
We want to talk about CGC and mistakes and stuff that they catch and they don't catch. Why don't you tell everybody what you did to that X-Men, that first appearance of Blob?
Oh my God. Okay, so
listen, I want everyone who's watching, I don't know if you got one person or 20 people.
There's 20 right now. Yeah.
Okay. I want you to tell everybody in this room exactly what you did to that book. And then I'm going to tell everybody what CGC did when they got that book and they graded it.
So I think you sent me was it just the cover or the whole book? I don't remember now.
I sent you the whole book because it needed to be reattached.
Right. So, yeah. So I took the cover off of the book. Right. And then I rehydrated the book and I made it soft and supple again because it was stiff. It was really stiff.
Yeah. I cleaned it with peroxide.
Yeah. It was like rigid. And
Yeah.
So I conditioned it to make it supple. And then I washed it in water. And then I stretched it out with my Macu dryer because it was too small. It had shrunk from the peroxide.
What?
Yeah.
And then I ran tape up the middle of it in a really thin, I laser cut really thin tape, just as wide as the staples were to reinforce the holes before I assembled it. And then I wrapped it around. I had to form a new spine. I put the staples through it. I took staples out of another X-Men book that I had that was an older X-Men because it was for age. I put them back in. I curved around. I shaped everything, put the back in, and now it was flexible. It was still pretty white though. And I sent it back to John. And I actually don't know the rest of this story because I haven't heard anything since then. So you guys are all hearing this the same time I do.
Okay, so everybody just heard what Rick did to the book. Now, I submitted it to CGC for grading.
Mm-hmm.
That book came back a 4.0. Just to let you know.
Okay. It was brilliantly white and looked beautiful to me. Okay, but yeah.
Yeah, I cleaned the mess out of it. It was almost cover. The whole cover was almost completely tan. And you're right, I bleached the shit out of it. I sent it away to CGC, had it graded. It came back a 4.0. Blue. This is the key here, guys.
Holy shit. I can't believe that.
Blue universal label. They did not catch the binding tape. They did not catch the cleaning. They did not catch the staples being replaced.
That is.
They didn't catch anything. 4.0 blue universal label.
That is so shocking. I don't think there's a single thing I didn't do to that book. I don't think there's a single thing you could have done that I didn't do to that book, except add anything. I didn't add any ink or paper.
Yeah, I didn't add anything either. It had color touch, which I removed. But
I wish I had a picture of that because that book got the one. I mean, I probably spent 30 hours on that book. That book got the once over like a lot.
Yeah.
There was a little, I mean, it was like, I almost felt like this is going to be a disaster. We have to make up a new color label for this one. Make a black label because there's so many things done to it. I cannot believe. I'm shocked. I wish I had a photo. I wish I had a picture. I'm sure I took pictures of it.
I can send you, or I can leave it in the description, a picture of the book from CGC. I just have to call my customer who the book belonged to, and he'll send me a picture of that book. But brother, I'm looking at you dead in your face. Huh. It came back a 4.0 blue universal label. They didn't catch a dang thing.
That is so shocking. And it keeps happening to me because people keep saying to me, here's a question, and I think you have some insight into this. They said, if I do X, Y, and Z, am I going to get a purple or blue or a gray or a blue with a gray stripe label or a green label? Like, what am I going to get? And I say, I don't know, man, because everything I do, comes back blue, right? I don't get it. But then people tell me they can't get a blue label and they blame me for teaching them wrong. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I wish I had some insight into what's happening at CGC because it doesn't happen to me. But now this is even making it worse because I did everything imaginable to that book.
Yeah. And, that's why I quit making videos on YouTube for a long while because people were blaming me for ruining their books. When, they watch one of my videos, like they're watching yours, and then they screw up their books, and then they turn around and blame us because they screwed up their book. But if you watch some of my videos, I always mention to people, you're not going to pick this up overnight. You're going to have to do your due diligence. You're
Well,
going
you
to
used
have to
classes,
practice.
right? You used to teach this stuff.
You're going to have to practice. You can't just pick it up and set it down. You know, this stuff for you, for people like you, and for people like me, you know, our presses, the chemicals that we use, it's become muscle memory. We didn't just watch a video to pick this up. We started from nothing. We started from scratch, ruining countless books. We put in our work.
Yeah.
Now, for some idiot to watch one of our videos and just think that they can pick it up right then and there and be successful with it, and then ruin a book like that Amazing Spider-Man 129 I sent you the pictures of, where the guy totally took a yellow cover and made it white.
Oh, God.
And then he blames me. I didn't tell you to crack a $6,800 book, to press it and clean it and try to make it better to resubmit it.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you to do it. I would have told you to send it to me and I would have done it.
You know what the story I hear? Tell me if you hear this story, John. This happens a lot. People watch 5 or 6 of my videos. They get some old books like I tell them.
Yeah.
And they press them and they clean them and they look great. And these guys get high. They get spun up. They want to buy everything they can get their hands on. They want to, and they immediately start going for the keys. And I'm like, whoa, dog, you gotta slow down. He goes, don't, it's no problem. I pressed 5 or 6 books straight in a row and they all look great. I'm like, no, man, you need to like reel that back. That is insufficient evidence, right? And they just get crazy. They get manic. They get excited about it. They start seeing dollar signs and they just go for it. And then something happens. And a friend of mine last year is actually doing this live. He was like, he kept cleaning and pressing people's books for them, live streaming the video while he was doing it. I'm like, dude, don't be doing these expensive books like when you're dancing around and you're trying to get lights on. Like, you need to really focus on this. And he ruined somebody's book on a live stream. Like the cover just like split like right up.
Oh no.
And it wasn't that big. It was like First Brother Voodoo, so it wasn't that big of a book, but like seriously. And then he didn't know what to do and he panicked even worse right in front of the customer and everybody else. He freaked out, not knowing what to do, and he made it worse. Like he was trying to put it back in and then the staple now popped out. I'm like, oh my God. And he got really depressed about it and he stopped. I'm like, yeah, this is an expected outcome. And so I have, I have a lot of, I have a lot of customers. We have almost like, I think 85 or 8,600 customers and like 5,500 or so there's about repeat customers now. And when people start sending me photos of what they're doing and they get really excited and manic, and I'm like, dude, you need to get some Zen and like take a deep breath because the pain is coming, right? It's coming. I know you haven't been hurt yet, but as high as that high is, the low is lower. If you split somebody's cover on an X-Men #1, or you take an Amazing Spider-Man 300 and you like do something bad and you bleach all that red out to orange or something, you're going to have to make a real uncomfortable phone call, and you are not going to make that phone call.
And somebody's going to, you're going to split somebody's spine, and then somebody's going to come in and split your lip.
Yeah. Have you ever had to make an uncomfortable call like that, John? And I know the answer to this one because I've heard this story before.
Yeah, I popped a few staples in my day.
Yeah,
but
I've done it too. I've done it too. Like I am not. And here's another thing: is I show if I make a mistake on a book, I will make a video and show that. And then people try to murder me in the comments. It's like, you're the worst comic book presser in the world. What are you showing all this stuff? I'm like, I'm just trying to show what can happen as a danger sense, like a signal. And people just like, they smell blood, and they're like hyenas, and they just come right after you. Like if you make a mistake.
We both got haters, brother. That's going to happen in any industry. I got guys around me in Florida who think they're the bee's knees when it comes to pressing and cleaning. And I asked the guy, I said, well, how do you clean a staple? Or how do you remove a staple? He's like, I don't. To both questions. He's like, I don't. Then don't come at me thinking that you're better than me, because, and like I said on a video, to do certain things like we do to a comic book because of the experience that we have, it takes huge dump truck carrying nuts
It does, dude. It really does.
to remove staples out of an X-Men #1 or a giant size X-Men #1 or a Werewolf by Night 32 or an ASM #1 or an Amazing Fantasy 15 or it takes it, man. I got 4 dump trucks out back. Okay, so I don't know.
Well, I can
So
tell
if
you,
somebody wants to crucify you for doing what you do naturally, and you're showing them the mistakes that people make, and this is what could happen, and people are still saying, well, you're the worst presser in the world. They obviously didn't pay attention to the video to begin with.
yeah, they just seize on it. They want to attack you. Yeah, but you know what? Like a lot of people here, like Patrick Johnson says he owns his own mistakes. You know, and someone else says Comic Doctor, one of the best. But some guy, I'm going to read this to you as a comment that someone left on someone else's page the other day when I was doing the CGC reslabbing thing. I'll read this to you verbatim. I took a screenshot because I was telling my wife it's hilarious.
Seems angry.
He says he was super angry.
Yeah,
he was
so
super mad. He says, he goes, I see comic book people putting their fat, slobbery, disgusting fingers, picking up books like they don't give a shit and just jamming them in bags and boards because they're shaking or too sloppy or whatever the case is. And he says, meanwhile, I'm wearing rubber gloves and carefully handling every single book as though it's the most fragile thing on earth. Because there's a big variety of people cleaning and pressing who are careful and not, right? But they all think they're awesome, right? One guy says, I buy from Immaculate Comics and I like that dude, but the stuff he does is very, very difficult. Try doing something as simple as removing the staples from a comic book and see how easy that is. He makes it look simple, but it's not it's not at all. That dude is talented, he says. And so he kind of gets it, right? There are people who are cleaning and pressing and they think they're magicians and they're just putting a book in a t-shirt press and press it out. And like, look at me, I'm awesome. But they don't know. They've never faced a challenge. No one's ever given them a Fantastic Four #1. I had a Tales of Suspense 39 that had like a cut through like all the pages and they were all folded over, but like brittle. They've been that way since like the 60s, right? This dude wanted me to disassemble the entire book, steam it, flatten out every page and whiten it and reassemble the entire book. And it had a big 88 and a Sharpie across the back. Somebody wrote in the back and to remove all that Sharpie ink too. Once you get the cojones to do something like that, then you can tell me about cleaning and prep. Then I'll listen to you. Look, when you've got your first 10,000 books clean and graded, then I'll listen to you. I won't listen to you after 5 or 6 books, right?
I've had guys bring their books in here, you know, that have been pressed and cleaned. I saw a video of a guy, or not a guy, a person got their book back, an Amazing Spider-Man 50, first Kingpin.
Yeah.
And the guy cleaned it and pressed it. The cleaning looked really good. The cover was nice and shiny. The problem is when he flipped the book over, if he pressed it, why were there 4 spine ticks still in the back of the book? And this person claimed, the customer, that this was the best presser and cleaner in the world. Oh, well, there was 4 spine ticks in the back of the book. So I have customers all the time that come in and say, look, John, I sent this to the guy up in Canada, or I sent this to somebody else, or the guy out in Texas, or whatever. And they're like, I got the book back and it don't even look like they touched it.
Yeah. Or
back in the board. And I said, you know what? You're right, brother. They didn't touch it.
That's very common with actually I'm trying to make a mask for Spider-Man #50 right here. I'm cutting one of my laser masks. I wanted to show you that so I could just the white parts are exposed because there's so much red in there.
I'll take that. I just, believe this or not, I just cleaned 3 of those in a row.
Oh really?
I got 2 of them sitting in the back. Customer already picked up the other one, but I got 2 sitting in the back right now. Now I used a Q-tip and ImmacuClean on Amazing Spider-Man.
On the letters, yeah.
On the letters.
White letters on a red book for people who aren't familiar with that book.
Exactly. So I was very meticulous with that book, especially because of all that red.
And it's the Spider-Man No More, right? Here's what's white. That Spider-Man's eye, the price box, and the Spider-Man No More are what's white.
That's right. That's it. That's it. That's all she wrote, folks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just cleaned 3 of those. Like, I don't know. It took me about 5 or 6 days to clean each one, and then buffing out the covers to get them to that nice high gloss.
Oh, right. Yeah. And do you use
And
the
then
do you use the makeup pads and do a figure 8?
no, I use I bought a wool buffing pad.
I have
And that's
these too. These
that's
web
what I
reel. These
yeah,
things
that's
here.
what that's almost like exactly what I use.
Yeah, I use these things, these web reel pads, and I make a figure 8 on the cover with it.
Yeah,
Or
I
use
just
wool sock.
I do like mid to small circles. That's how I do it. And
Yeah, I'm gonna do them. This one's my next one. I'm gonna do this Daredevil #1 next, and it has this problem that you can maybe see. It has this corner it's over here. It's fallen off, and it's like back behind the page of this book. And
yeah,
I'm gonna reattach that, and then I'm gonna photo bleach it and clean it. I'm gonna take the cover off and rebuild this book, and then just keep it. Well, I might have it graded just to see what CGC says, but who knows? I might go to a different company, explore what the CBCS or others have as well. But this is going to be my next personal project because I've always liked this book. It's Spider-Man only appears on the cover of this book, but it is an early appearance of Spider-Man.
yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. You know, if someone, I look at it this way, if someone out there thinks that they're a better presser and a cleaner than me, you know, I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. You know,
I actually hope, because I teach people how to do it and I sell stuff to do it with. What is my best solution? My best solution is I don't clean and press any more books and only other people do it, and they're all better than me. That's actually awesome. I'm super happy if that's the
yeah,
case. That means I've taught them and I've given them tools. That means I'm a success. And actually, I'm kind of tired of cleaning and pressing books. You know, the first few thousand's kind of fun, but after that, it's not that entertaining anymore, right? It kind of
it's
loses its pizzazz, you know.
you're losing. I mean, it's just not. You know, with these fly by night pressers and cleaners that are popping up on YouTube, like for instance, you mentioned you saw a guy's video where he screwed up a customer's book and then he freaked out. How about a guy who did a live stream and he pressed a book flat and he popped the staples? It wasn't his book. Now,
No.
that's why I made my video on how not to pop a staple when you're pressing a book flat. My last couple of videos are based on that. How not to pop a staple when you're pressing a book flat. The guy's mistake that he made was he added humidity into the book. And then he used too much pressure when he dropped his hammer.
Yeah, it's what do I always say? Wet paper is weak paper.
It's weak paper. I even put that, mentioned it on the video. I don't add humidity to my book when I press it flat. And I completely release the pressure on my heat plate. And then when I close the top, I add the pressure afterward. And the book I show in the video is a key. And I didn't pop the staples, but this guy did a video and he pops both staples on the video.
Oh my God.
And this guy in the comments, I didn't see that one negative comment on the guy to blast him for popping a customer staples on their book. They were all like, "You're still the best presser we know."
What? They would have skewered me alive for that.
That's what I'm saying. So and Rick, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I think, and this is my honest opinion, and we both know how brutally honest I can be.
Sure.
And in all honesty, I truly believe that you and I have reached a point that the reason we have the haters that we have, and I have a ton, is because we are that damn good.
That might be the case. I hold a book at the wrong angle, like the lights on it different, and people come after me. Like, I'm like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah.
Like what happened? Did your wife fight with you this morning? Like, what the hell? Like, I get it. Yeah, I feel the same way you do. I'm like, why? Like, I think that people, when they leave a comment, like nobody reads the comments that say, "Oh, you're awesome." They all like to read the comments that says, "Oh, you're an asshole. You suck at pressing." Like they're all,
That's
"Oh, look at this guy." They get
that's
lots of
because they're looking for a reason to stop watching or to stop taking your advice. They're wanting a legitimate reason. And unfortunately, even as much crap as people talk about us or they leave in the comment, I don't know about followers. I don't know about you, Rick, but I haven't lost any followers. Have you?
No, I've got thousands more, in fact. Yeah.
So who cares?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
And the other thing, especially with me, and I mean, Nolan's your tough guy. There's your bodyguard right there. But
Yeah, he's
with
getting tough.
me, with me, they ain't nothing but digital tough guys, man. That's all they are. They're digital wannabe tough guys, right? I mean, I had a guy leave me a negative comment on my Google from my store on a 15-second phone call asking me if I had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 first print. And I simply answered the question as no, not currently in stock. And the guy told me to go live back with my mother in the dumpster of a store. So obviously, the man's never been in my store because it looks nothing in comparison to a dumpster. And that's number one. Number two, the things that he said about me personally on a 10-second phone call, that person would never say to my face.
Yeah, of course. Of course. That's what always.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, okay? They're just a bunch of telephone, like Joe Pesci said, they're a bunch of telephone tough guys.
Yeah.
They're a bunch of digital tough guys. Because when it comes to the day of judgment and they have to face me in that manner, then they'll know. But it's the same when somebody leaves us a negative comment about our pressing and cleaning techniques or how we do it or how we derived to getting there. They hate us simply because they aren't us. They'll never be us. They'll never be as good as you or I because we have forgotten more than they can ever learn.
Yeah, I think you're
Because
right.
they're watching guys like us and picking up everything as quickly as they can to try to make money on it, which means you're going to have more idiots out here in the world doing what we do, screwing up people's books, and then we're going to get blamed for it on the back end because that same idiot watched videos that we made trying to help them. But they didn't do the one thing that you and I have done, and I have done for over 30 years. And that is practice, practice, practice. And when you think you're done practicing, just do it some more.
Well, I always say 1,000 books. What do you call 1,000 books pressed? I said that as a good start.
You haven't even, that's like your first 3 days in elementary school. And you were lucky if you were there for 2 of them to have your attendance taken.
Yeah, exactly. We got just a few minutes left, John. You want to answer questions if people answer them? I know some people wanted to ask you some questions. I want to capture that. Who has a question for us?
I'm just getting bent out of shape, man. When people pick on you, brother, I don't like that, because you're more of a family man. You know what I'm saying? You don't deserve that. You busted your ass your whole life getting your degrees in engineering, and you were pressing people's books for free. You probably still do.
I do.
you know, busting your ass, doing all these experiments to try to bring the hobby to a better place. And people have the audacity and the nerve to say one coarse word about you. Not only you, about what you do. And dude, that's ridiculous, redundant, and it's absolutely stupid. You know, people should learn to shut their mouth, open their eyes and their ears, take the advice and learn. Instead of automatically saying, you don't know what you're doing. No, obviously, you don't know what you're doing, because if you did, you wouldn't be watching my videos to learn something else.
That's what I say. That's what I say. If you don't like it, why are you learning? Like, I had a guy listen to this. You know that the whole CGC scandal I did the other day? Here's the most common comment, like a hater comment I got, right? It was,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be doing this, right? Because it's bad and you're showing bad guys. And then they also said at the same time, they said, and you didn't show enough stuff. I'm like, well, which is it? Did I am I not supposed to be doing it, or did I not show enough stuff? Like, what the hell? Like, what are you talking about? You know, it's like, I'm like, dude, get yourself together. We have, look at David Quintana. He's a customer of mine, and he says, I didn't know who Big John was before today, but now I love him too. Follow him at Comic Book Underground on YouTube here, and he's got a store too. That's the name of, what's the name of your channel? Is it Comic Book Underground LLC?
Yeah, just Comic Book Underground, I believe.
Yeah, John is great. John and I have been friends for years, and I want to tell everybody something who doesn't know John but follows me. John and I have found out that we ended up doing the same things to comic books, but come at it from completely different ways. How many times has that happened, John?
I don't know, at least probably right around 20, maybe more.
Yeah, like we found we've dovetailed into the same techniques, but come at it from different ways, but ended up doing the same things, and it's really, it makes
and getting the same results.
Yeah, and it gives me the encouragement that we're doing the right, what we quote unquote the right thing.
Because you're taking it from a scientific point of view, and I'm taking it from an oven, mom's steam iron. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking it from that point of view. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we got to the same place, which is a beautiful thing, I think. Right?
I learned from destroying hundreds of books. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I love that too. Who's got a question for John? We've only got 3 minutes to go here, and it's also late. I want you to know John stayed late at his store because it's almost 10 o'clock in East Coast time, so he's tired.
Yeah, it's 9:57 here.
So who has a question? I know, Patrick, you said you wanted to ask one. Oh, they want to know about your health. They asked us. I've been asked more than once to give us an update on your health.
I had my right toe has no big toe. My left foot took a lot of damage, so they removed the big toe and the bone behind it. And I had the sutures taken out a week before Christmas. And right before that, I had a minor heart attack, which would have been my second. The first heart attack I had was a major heart attack. I mean, not major, all heart attacks will kill you. This one put me a little bit in the danger zone. And then, not 2 weeks ago, I had a mild heart attack. I'm waiting for some blood work to come back to see if all the crap is out of my body. And if it is, then they're going to put the stents in my heart to release all the blocking. I have severe heart disease, not by my own hands. It's a family trait. My father just died last year of it. But so I'm hopeful that once I get the stents, that 2024 is going to be a much better year than 2023. Because to be honest with everybody, and I appreciate all the prayers, and I appreciate y'all asking. It really means a lot to me. And I have a huge heart, and it's tough to fill up because it is so big. But I really appreciate everybody's sentiment and their prayers, and for my family and for myself. And I was sick every day last year, but 11 days.
Jesus Christ, John, that's awful.
So I'm hoping that 2024 is a much better year, not only for me and my health, but for our, for the store and for the comic book community. And Rick, I know I wish you a Happy New Year 3 hours earlier last night, but it was my time. I had to do it. You know what I mean? But I know we don't have much time, but do you have another question or?
Nope, that's all they said. Everybody, we've got a lot of people saying God bless you, and they want to know about you. So I'm going to sign off here because it's going to shut off automatically. It's about 30 seconds, but I want to say, John, I love you. I appreciate you, brother. I think about you all the time. You're the nearest and dearest to us, and I know Nolan wants to say something too to you here. What do you want to say to John?
Thanks for the shirt.
He likes to thank for the shirts, he says.
No worries, brother. Listen, I'll get that, Rick. I'll get that box out to you. And listen, I love you guys too. I hope you guys have a wonderful new year. And Rick, just take away that for every hater you got, you're always going to get at least 2 that love you.
Thanks, brother. Love you,
All right,
man.
man.
Take care of yourself.
Love, peace, and chicken grease.
See you. Bye.
See you. Bye.